Hi, this is Pat Glennon from the Tribes of Ammonia DNA project. I just wanted to give a quick quarterly update on the progress in the project. So over these first 3 months, we've focused on the initial local testers, getting the tests to the labs, getting analysis back to the testers, and then getting those interested upgraded to the big Y test. I've had 74 project joiners, 18 new local testers from Roscommon and Galway. The rest are existing testers either from the region or with ancestry in the region. 12 of the local testers have now resulted, and 6 of those have also upgraded to the Big Y. The vast majority of the existing testers are already at Big Y testers, but several of those who weren't have now upgraded as well, so we're waiting on their results. So all this provides a sort of baseline for understanding the broad genetic makeup of the region, as you'll see in the subsequent slides. We've had members join the project from a broad range of surnames. We've had joiners from about a quarter of the surnames that featured on the original promotional project surname map, but there are also additional surnames on the left. Clearly every name couldn't be included on the initial map or would have been unintelligible. Several of these additional surnames, although not identified in the genealogies, are numerous enough in the census to be included on the initial map. When the testers' results have come back, it indicates that several of them have deep ancestral roots in the region, either in Ammonia itself or in the hinterland across Connacht or the Midlands. So as we confirm local lineages with advanced testing, these surnames will be added to a more detailed project surname map. Before I give an overview of the project makeup so far, I just wanted to explain one thing that I'm frequently asked about, and that's haplogroups. Haplogroup is basically a genetic grouping. You'll be part of several different haplogroups because haplogroups are basically layers of identity, as you see above, getting more specific as you move down the descendant tree. So haplogroups are groupings of people with a particular DNA marker. This marker is used in 3 ways. So it's used to describe the first person that had that marker, that mutation on their DNA. It's used to describe the mutation itself, and it's also used to describe the haplogroup, or the group of people who all share that DNA marker. Now, every time a descendant has another mutation on their Y DNA, they create a new subgroup or a more specific haplogroup. So in my case, this is my descent of some key haplogroups that I'm part of. So you can see that I'm part of M269, which a mutation that occurred about 4500 BC, which is associated with a large portion of the Western European population today. And then a subsequent descendant of that haplogroup had another mutation, CTS 4466, which is associated with the Oanocta in about 250 BC. So I'm part of that haplogroup as well. And then I'm part of an offshoot of that Oanocta haplogroup, BY11841, which is associated with the Glennons of Galway and Roscommon. I'm part of the Roscommon branches of the branch of the Glennons, of the Tishrara branch, and then specifically I have a terminal SNP, which is basically the most specific branch or leaf of the human DNA tree, specific to myself and my family. Let's talk about the project breakdown so far then. So although we're still in the early stages of the project, the initial results are quite revealing. If we look at the first 10 testers whose results were returned, it provides quite an interesting snapshot into the regional breakdown, which is pretty consistent with Tibor Faher's genetic map of the region. Now I've adapted the colouring on Tibor's map here to match the project's colours, just so it's a bit easier to understand. And we see that 2 of the initial testers are part of haplogroup Z253, from which Brian Barrow's Dalcash emerged, as well as the purported Ceylonimca grouping of Maddens and Coolins discussed in the first presentation. We've got 1 tester who's I2. Now this is the ancient pre-Celtic inhabitants of the island. This group was marginalised with the arrival of the Bell-Beaker and Proto-Celtic peoples, so all these other OR haplogroups are among those. And the I2s were pushed to the west coast of Ireland and to the Highlands of Scotland, where they constitute about 5 to 10% of the population today. So we're seeing certain surnames associated with this group and I'll discuss that once we get the advanced results back from these testers. We've got two testers who are DF21, which Tibor Feher associates with the Delvna peoples. So they're one of the early Celtic tribes of the region who were defeated by the Ammonia and became a subject tribe. But according to the annals, they appear to have endured in the region until at least the 11th century. But as discussed in my first presentation, the proposed Sogan group of Manions and Wards is also within DF21. So we might be looking at the early inhabitants of the region, so after the I2s, but before the expansion of the Connacht and the Ammonia. And then about half of the, exactly half of these first 10 testers, 5 testers, are from the Connacht, so the descendants of the legendary Con of the 100 Battles. And they constitute about 20% of the population of northwest of Ireland, but as we see within Ammonia, that's up on 50%. And if we broaden it out to the whole project, it remains relatively consistent, although I think this is based off the first 54 joiners. But about half, again, are Connacht in a different shades of green here, broken down into Brún, Fiacrach, Neil, and others including that BY198 grouping, which includes the Egans, Larkins, and other names associated with the Ammonia. Down the bottom, we've got the DF49 overarching group, which includes the kind of miscellaneous Connacht and the adjacent Ammonia, ZP75. So there's several Kelly lineages in both these groups, as well as Keoghs as well. If we move around, then over 10% again is Z253, so those southern tribes from which the Dalcash and the proposed Sealanamka and also possibly the borderland O'Connells also emerged from this group. L513 group is a little harder to pin down, with various groups spread across the country. In our project includes the O'Kennys and the O'Hares. We've also got a large Connacht contingent, which is my own Glennons, but also a new regional tester with a name very specific to the region. Also turns out to be another lineage of the Oanacta, but like the Glennons also, his lineage appears to have been in the region since the dawn of the surname era. Now, close to about a fifth of the project is DF21, which I noted earlier may be associated with the early Delvna tribes, as well as the proposed Sogan group I discussed in the first presentation. We need a very first local tester, whose results were returned with a surname very specific to this region, falls within this Sogan haplogroup. The pre-Celtic I2s then, again, are in a minority, but at the moment we've got 3 testers out of the 74 members in the project today. But although they're in a minority, they still endure in the region. And in other minorities, J, haplogroup U106, Z46516. So these are have either uncertain links to the region or else later arrivals into the region. One of these is Dave Cushing, whose namesake Adam Cushing was a scribe of the Lower Rwanya. He's co-admin of the project and he's produced these graphics and analysis for me. He invests an incredible amount of time and treasure in the project, which is greatly appreciated. Finally, I'll just explain briefly what goes on in the background of the project and what new joiners can expect. So firstly, we'll provide guides and advice to setting up your DNA account, navigating around the site and the project, and to understand your results. Once the results are returned in, within a couple of days I'll give some analysis of your results and send out a report to help you understand your results and get the most out of your test. I'll explain your deeper clan origin, whether you're pre-Celtic, Connacht, or another haplogroup. I'll study your matches, particularly your surname matches, to see if we can zone in further to say you descend from the Brún, the Ammonia, or you're part of another haplogroup. So this is designed to give you as much information as possible so you can decide whether it's worth upgrading to identify your precise branch on a human DNA tree. Obviously, we want to discover as much as possible about the genetic heritage of the region, so the project has been using project donations to make upgrading more affordable. We've been covering 50% of the cost of upgrades for those new local testers, and 6 testers so far have taken advantage of that. We'll do another round of sponsorship for local testers in the spring and hopefully hold an event back in Galway, Roscommon too. To learn more about the project, you can Google the Tribes of Ammonia DNA project. There have been some Google indexing issues because the site is securely run by FTDNA. But if you click on the top FTDNA result when you search the project, within a couple of clicks you should be able to navigate to the project homepage. Once you're there, then if you click on the join button on the top right hand corner, that'll allow you to put in your details to join the project. If you want to donate to the project in order to progress the research, you can click on the donate button on the bottom left. And you can specify in the notes how you would like your donation to be spent, whether it's on a specific surname, a specific tester, or for general recruitment. If you're an existing tester, just sign into your account and click on the Join a Project tab on the right hand side of your account homepage. The project may be in your suggestions section, or else you can just search for it. And last, I just wanted to make you aware, anyone who isn't already aware, of a new publication by local archaeologist Daniel Curley, the Kelly Lords of Imonia and Tirmonia. So it's focused on the archaeology of the Kelly royal sites of the region, but it also gives important contextual information about the history of the territory and recovers aspects of the history of the territory long forgotten, which is what we're also trying to do with the tribes here. So we'll continue to recruit local testers, but the next phase will be using that baseline that we've got now to also focus on recruiting existing testers to broaden the membership and advance their testing too. I've kept this presentation quite general overview for 2 reasons. Firstly, we're waiting on several advanced Y-DNA tests for several testers now, and rather than hypothesizing, it seems wiser just to wait and present on firmer ground. And secondly, the default settings on FTDNA accounts are always set to opt out of sharing anonymized results. If members stay opted out, then the updates will be done within the project rather than in the public sphere like this. And they'll be more specific to the different surname groupings that are emerging. But I suppose that's an incentive to join the project then, because all those presentations will be given within. If you're interested in joining the project, go to Family Tree DNA and get yourself a Y-DNA test. You can start off with a basic introductory Y37 test, or you can go straight out into a big Y, which will give you a specific leaf of Tree of Humanity which you're sitting on. And then you can contact the project at tribesofammonia@gmail.com. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks again to my co-admins Dave Cushing, Martin Curley and Jim Halloran for the support. Thanks to all those who've joined the project, and thanks to you for watching. Hope you have a great Christmas, and I'll have another update in the new year. Nolig Honadich.